Hi, Ferg. So, for the recycled paper project, I was absent. So I have my paper that I made at home, but it's still kind of wet, so I wasn't able to draw on it, and it's very easily ripped. So this is my paper that I made. But I went ahead and did the drawing and stuff on a separate piece that can like fit on it if it needs to. It looks like this. It says, "He plants the trees, or he who plants the trees loves others besides himself." And it's unknown because I couldn't find who wrote it. But so there's pictures of trees and the sky and the sun. And then the name of the piece is just Forest. The materials I used were paper, crayons, pencil, a blender, cloth, and a pan. And I just like had blended up the paper and put it in the pan overnight. And then here's the materials. So who inspired the work? Trees. I chose recycled paper because it's good for the environment. And then I hope my viewer would feel that planting trees should be done more often in efforts of sustainability for the environment. So for my Bob Ross project, again, I wasn't here when we chose. Also, same thing for the quote. I wasn't here to choose a quote, so I don't know if anyone took it, but I just winged it a little bit. So I chose Lake Clark National Park. This is my picture. I used watercolor, and then this was the inspiration picture that I got. So the name of the piece is, I got this, is Lake Clark Watercolor. The materials I used to create it was paper, watercolor, pencil, and a paintbrush, and obviously water. Who inspired the work? Alaska and Bob Ross. I chose watercolor because it dries quickly, so it makes it easier to like layer and add details to the picture. And then I'd hope my viewer would feel strongly about creating more national parks and protecting existing ones. The park is located in Port Ellsworth, Alaska. It was established on December 2nd, 1980. It is 4 million acres, and the average visitors each year is 19,038 people, which it didn't have like an actual estimated average, so or like several years, so I just took like the past 4 years and then averaged the people, or the visitors. And then some biotic flora and fauna are Alaska cottongrass, alder, black spruce, blueberries, wild chive, dogwood, firewood, and wild iris. And then, so the history of Lake Clark. So Lake Clark National Park was founded in Port Ellsworth, Alaska on December 2nd, 1980. Due to its location, the geology of the park is very dynamic. So the park's famous mountainous formations in the lake is characterized by a history of uplift, intrusion, earthquakes, volcanism, and glaciation. One fun fact about the park is that it's partially included in the Ring of Fire, which is one of the most active chains of volcanoes in the world. And finally, the park was first established as a national monument in 1978, and later a national park and preserve in 1980 by the Alaska National Interest Lands Conservation Act. Okay, so for my gamma graph, I did melting glaciers. So this side is like a full glacier, not a lot of water, and then this side is a lot of water, very low ice formations. And then so the name of the piece is Melting Glaciers, and then the materials I used was pencil, paper, scissors, ruler, colored pencils, crayons, glue, tape. I was inspired by melting glaciers, and then I would hope that my viewer would feel more strongly towards ending climate change and protecting, places like Alaska and the massive ice formations there. So for the junk art piece, I did mine with Natalia, and we did this tree with like birds hanging down. So I'll send it here. So I named it the Tree of Life. We used like cups and these like post-it notes that we folded to look like birds, string, and hot glue, and obviously paint. And then I was inspired by like redwood forest trees because they're just so full of life and they're so big. And then so I chose this medium because the cups were easy to paint and stack to form a tree, and the stickiness added like a nice pop of color. And they're also like the perfect size to fold up and make into the little cranes, or not cranes, birds. And then I'd hope that my viewer would feel more drawn towards forest preservation when looking at this and protecting, you know, the animals and trees and all the living parts that go into a forest. So some of the reasons that we should be repurposing trash is that it's less expensive than like landfill or trash services. It uses less energy, there's less pollution in like waterways. It encourages object quality over quantity for sustainability purposes. It conserves resources, reduces waste stream, reduces CO2, increases the lifespan of materials, and decreases the amount of greenhouse gases produced, as well as decreasing the amount of air pollution. So some examples of like repurposing things would be like turning food waste into fertilizer through composting, reusing glass jars as storage, upcycling old clothes, and saving grocery store plastic bags to be used again.